She's the most overlooked person in the station, and she's got a serious temper. She doesn't look like a lady at all, but somehow, she's the one chosen to go undercover at a beauty pageant. To help her blend in, the FBI brings in a top stylist. They plan to give her a full makeover, but just minutes after meeting her, the stylist is already losing it. She eats like she's in a war. Her hair is a complete mess. She walks like she's about to start a fight. The stylist immediately thinks, this job is impossible, but no one expected this. In just a few days, she completely changes. When she shows up again, everyone is stunned, but she hates the whole pageant thing. She looks down on girls who only talk about makeup and dieting, and she hates competitions that cater to the male gaze. But what she didn't expect is that this very pageant would change her life forever. Her name is Hart. She's in her 30s. She's never been in a relationship. Work is the only thing she loves. But in the male-dominated FBI, she never gets a chance to shine. Her most important job every day is buying coffee for the entire office. And it gets worse. That day she finally gets a shot at field action. The arrest is about to begin. But at the critical moment, a colleague chokes on a peanut. His face turns from red to purple. He's about to suffocate. Hart panics. Her boss orders everyone to stay put, but she can't hold back. She rushes out. The situation spirals out of control instantly. They do catch the criminal in the end, but a teammate gets hit by a stray bullet. Hart feels terrible about it. That night she gets home. Her place looks like a disaster zone, just like her life. She starts punching a sandbag to let out her anger. The next day, a major case pops up. There's a criminal who goes by the codename Citizen. He commits arson, poisonings, and bomb attacks. But he has a habit. Before every crime, he sends a threatening letter. The letter reveals the next target. The problem is, the letters are full of riddles. The intelligence team can't figure them out. Hart gets excited, because her specialty is code breaking and profiling, but the assignment goes to her friend Matthew. Hart isn't happy about it. She goes to her boss, and begs to join the operation. But the boss doesn't trust her. He says she's better off staying at a desk. She's heard that line more times than she can count, but it still stings. Still, she doesn't give up. She starts studying the letters on her own. Meanwhile, Matthew is busy flirting with women. He even asks Hart to help decode the messages. Not long after, Hart actually cracks it. She discovers the criminal's next target is the Miss United States pageant. Even with the location found, Matthew still doesn't know what to do next. No one has a plan. The room gets awkward. Hart jumps in quickly. She suggests contacting the TV network and the pageant organizers first. Then she lays out the operation, step by step. Finally she reminds Matthew that they'll need an undercover agent to enter the pageant. Matthew finally perks up. He starts searching the system for the most beautiful female agents. He even starts dressing their photos in different gowns. But Hart suddenly notices a problem. None of them will work. One agent is on maternity leave. The whole team spends the afternoon basically playing dress up. At one point they even pull up their boss's photo and put him in a swimsuit. Everyone laughs like crazy. Then someone casually opens Hart's file. At first everyone groans, but when the system switches her into a swimsuit look, the room goes silent. Turns out, Hart has an amazing figure, and suddenly things get ridiculous. The sloppy agent, who never looks put together, might actually be the perfect undercover contestant. But Hart absolutely hates the idea. In her mind, those girls are all looks, and no brains. Matthew reminds her, she already messed up the last operation. If she wants a second chance, this is it. Hart is furious. Matthew becomes the perfect punching bag. They start fighting right there. The whole office gathers to watch. Some people even start placing bets. After a while, Hart wins the fight. Next, they meet the pageant organizers to ask permission for the undercover plan. They also make one request. Hart must make it into the top 10. Hearing that, the host almost explodes. She used to be a pageant champion herself. She hates that the FBI looks down on the competition, but considering the contestants' safety, she eventually agrees. When she asks who the undercover agent is, Hart points to herself. The host bursts out laughing, but soon she realizes Hart is completely serious, so she immediately calls her assistant and demands the best pageant consultant available. Soon enough, they meet the expert. One look at Hart, and he's disappointed. In his eyes, Hart is a total disaster, but Matthew talks him into staying, and just like that, the transformation begins. The expert starts with walking. Hart's walk is way too rough. He demonstrates himself, shoulders back, head up, slow, graceful steps. Hart completely fails. They even practice walking right out on the street. People passing by stare in confusion. After that, the expert starts teaching her pageant basics. He pulls out tons of pageant videos for her to study. Posture, etiquette, speech, but Hart keeps complaining. She thinks pageant girls are fake. She even mocks their crying faces. The expert nearly loses his mind, but the training continues. Finally, the most important step arrives, the full makeover. The expert brings in an entire team, beauty specialists, makeup artists, stylists. Hart gets worked on, from head to toe, like a product on an assembly line. 2 full days, almost no sleep. When it's finally done, everyone is speechless. Hart is completely transformed. Long legs, slim waist, powerful presence. Matthew just stares. A few days later, Hart arrives at the pageant venue. Beautiful girls are everywhere. The atmosphere is totally different. From the FBI office, she feels a little out of place. While getting on the bus, a sweet girl warmly greets her. That finally eases the tension a bit. Soon all the state contestants have dinner together. The room is loud and lively. Hart just finds it annoying. Meanwhile, Matthew and the team watch everything through surveillance, like it's a TV show. Before long, Hart realizes something. These girls seem friendly on the surface, but the competition is fierce underneath. When the sweet girl says something wrong, Miss Hawaii immediately mocks her. The atmosphere turns awkward. Hart suddenly cracks a joke that flips the situation and embarrasses Miss Hawaii instead. The sweet girl is saved. Just then, the listening device malfunctions. Matthew's team can't hear Hart anymore. They scramble to fix the equipment. Hart has no idea. She's just busy stuffing her face with food. A few minutes later, she awkwardly says a quick prayer. The entire table goes silent. Soon Hart begins rehearsal training, and a new problem appears. She has zero dancing talent. During practice, she moves like a robot. Everyone stares in shock. On top of that, she grew up like a tomboy. She barely has any female friends, but the sweet girl really likes her. One night, she visits Hart to chat. She remembers Hart helping her earlier. She says Hart is hilarious and believes she'll succeed someday. Then she asks Hart what talent she plans to perform. Hart jokingly blurts something out, but it accidentally hurts the girl, because the girl's favorite performance is baton twirling. But she was raised to believe girls shouldn't be too sexy, so she's always suppressed herself. Hearing this, Hart finally understands her. She encourages her to be bold and express herself. The two girls talk for hours. They grow much closer. But soon, another problem appears. The preliminary round begins. Everyone must show a talent. The expert is about to lose his mind. Hart can't sing. She can't dance. She has no talent at all. Just when the expert is ready to give up, Hart gets an idea. She decides to perform music using water glasses. So Hart walks on stage, wearing a ridiculous maid costume, and carrying a row of water glasses. At first the audience laughs, but when the music begins, the room slowly quiets down. Surprisingly, the performance is actually pretty creative. But right then, Hart notices a man. He's wearing a cowboy hat, and slowly approaching the stage. It looks like he might be armed. She immediately alerts Matthew, but the next second, the man reaches into his jacket. Hart doesn't hesitate. She jumps off the stage and tackles him. The truth is embarrassing. The weapon is just a lighter. He only wanted to light a cigarette. The place erupts into chaos. The competition is forced to pause. The host is furious. She privately warns Hart not to disrupt the show again. Days pass. The police still have no leads. Hart's pressure keeps building. The expert pushes her harder every day. Training runs late into the night. Hart doesn't understand. She's already guaranteed a top 10 spot. Why keep training so hard? The expert tells her, the most important thing is being proud of yourself. That hits Hart deeply. They argue fiercely. Hart insists she's just undercover, not here to perform. Finally she quits training and decides to leave. She tells Matthew she's done. She says she doesn't belong anywhere. Not as a woman, not even as a good agent. Matthew doesn't mock her. Instead he sincerely tells her she's smart, charming, and unique. For the first time, Hart hesitates. The moment becomes strangely emotional. The next day, the competition continues. It's the swimsuit round. For the first time, Hart feels nervous, but when she walks on stage, the audience loves her. Her popularity skyrockets. Soon it's the Q&A round. Everyone else gives perfect, rehearsed answers. When it's Hart's turn, she speaks very directly. The room goes quiet, but in the end, she still advances. Right after she leaves the stage, Matthew rushes over with news. The police have identified a suspect. It's the sweet girl. The reason? She once had connections to some radical groups, and her personality is quiet and reserved. She fits the profile. Matthew tells Hart to get close and question her, but Hart has no idea how girls talk to each other. So she improvises. She buys tons of beer and pizza, and brings all the contestants to a bar. Everyone relaxes. The mood becomes lively. The sweet girl drinks too much. Hart takes the chance to ask her some questions. Unexpectedly, the girl starts sharing a painful story. Back in college, she was assaulted by a professor. Out of shame, she never reported it. Hearing this, Hart feels heartbroken. She realizes immediately the girl can't be the criminal. Just then, someone mentions the host. Apparently years ago, the host only finished second place. The original winner suddenly got food poisoning. Even stranger, the host gets fired right after the pageant each year. Putting the pieces together, Hart suddenly suspects the real mastermind might be the host. She rushes back to report it, but when she arrives, her boss is already there. The police have arrested a suspect. They think the case is closed. Hart refuses to believe it. She insists the criminal is a woman, and she's inside the pageant. Her boss thinks it's just a guess. They argue fiercely. Hart refuses to quit. She demands to stay undercover. Her boss explodes. If she stays, she's no longer an agent. Hart doesn't hesitate. She stays anyway, even if it costs her career. She wants to protect those girls. At the same time, the expert is forced to leave too. Hart suddenly finds herself alone. Before leaving, the expert tells her she's the most special student he's ever had. Hart is deeply moved. Soon, the final competition begins. This time, she has no backup. She must prepare alone. But to her surprise, all the other contestants come to help her. They do makeup together. They prepare together. For the first time, Hart feels like she isn't alone. The final begins. Stage lights shine brightly. Every contestant looks stunning. Hart looks confident too. Soon, the top 10 are announced. Hart is on the list. At the same time, Matthew discovers something shocking. The host's assistant is actually her son, and he has a criminal record. Something is very wrong. The competition continues. It's the talent round again. The sweet girl finally gathers the courage to perform her baton routine. She's more confident than ever. The crowd erupts in applause. Then it's Hart's turn, but all her water glasses have been emptied. She has to improvise. She calls Matthew onto the stage and teaches the audience basic self-defense moves. She even shows the girls how to protect themselves. The crowd loves it even more. When the rankings are announced again, Hart makes the top 5. Meanwhile, the host secretly takes the crown. She swaps it out with another one. Inside the new crown is a hidden bomb. The explosion is set to happen the moment the winner is crowned. The final question round begins. The host deliberately asks Hart a sharp question. What does she really think about beauty pageants? Hart answers honestly. She says these girls are all amazing, and she's learned a lot from them. Right then, she suddenly realizes the bomb might be inside the crown. She tries desperately to warn Matthew, but the crowd is too loud. No one hears her clearly. Meanwhile, Matthew spots the assistant hiding above the stage. He chases after him immediately. On stage, the winner is about to be announced. The result comes out. Hart is the runner-up. The sweet girl wins the crown. Staff members prepare to place the crown on her head. Hart suddenly rushes forward and grabs the crown away. The entire venue erupts in chaos. Meanwhile, Matthew fights the assistant. The detonator is knocked away. Hart holds onto the crown with everything she has. In the end, the host is arrested too. The bomb threat is finally over. After everything is done, Hart and Matthew stand together. Their relationship has clearly changed. The next day, they prepare to leave. The expert suddenly calls Hart away. He says a bomb has been found at a nearby restaurant. Hart rushes there immediately, but when she arrives, she realizes it's actually a surprise. All the contestants are there. They applaud her. Even though she didn't win the crown, she receives a special award, Miss Congeniality. In that moment, Hart finally understands something. The real change was never about her appearance. It was about who she became.